Well, the Victorian government is facing backlash after it used a secret interim report to extend state-appointed monitors at Kingston Council, a move critics say amounts to political interference, and it's likely to cost local ratepayers more than $300,000 to have the state government monitor their local council meetings. Here to tell us more and to dive into a few other local government issues, Council Watch President Dean Hurlston. Dean, thanks for coming on the program. Help me understand this one. Effectively, we have hardworking ratepayers forced to fund secretive state government monitors, even though there appears to be no evidence of governance failures within their local council. Am I reading that right?
You are indeed. What we see in the Victorian local government sector is the Minister, Nick Stakos, politically choosing where he puts monitors. No minister of any government, of any political persuasion, remember, ministers are political operatives first and foremost for their party. So no minister should have the unilateral right to make captain's calls and decide where a monitor goes because it suits their party's political interests. In the city of Kingston, Labor has had that as a stronghold on council for years. As soon as an independent Labor mayor split with the Labor faction and went against them and appointed a deputy and a group of majority councillors who were independent, along comes the local member, the minister himself, Nick Stakos, and he appoints monitors because they suddenly have governance problems. He ignores all of the issues that had been there before, that people had called for monitors when his own party was ruling the council, and now he's conveniently put them in. And it's not the only council. He's done it at Hobson's Bay, where Labor is under pressure to an independent in this year's state election. And he's now done it at the most marginal seat in Victoria, in Nepean, where Sam Groth, as you would know, sits, and where others are attempting to take the seat away on the Mornington Peninsula, and you have an independent ruling faction there that doesn't suit Labor's narrative and agenda. This is why monitors who are paid $300,000 a year should never be able to be appointed by political ministers.
And of course, this is terrible for local ratepayers. You mentioned $300,000 a year. I think is it $1,500 a day that these monitors can earn sitting in on council meetings?
Yes.
Fair enough. If there was mayhem in the local council, then OK, you've got to sort it out. But ratepayers have been given no reason as to why this has been deemed necessary, but they're slugged with the bill. How can the government justify this and carry on with it?
So one of the greatest hypocrisies that we see out of the Victorian government and many governments across Australia is that the states actually shift this cost onto the council, who didn't ask for it. The residents didn't ask for it. Political factions likely asked for it. And then they cost shift that onto the poor, unsuspecting ratepayers. What this is doing is it is taking and essentially stealing money out of the kitty that needs to be used. You know, councils don't have this endless bucket of money. We know that. So instead of it being used on parks and gardens, cleanliness, graffiti removal, street repairs, for goodness sake, potholes, this is what it's doing. And not only do they get paid this $300,000, they have unlimited expenses. The minister directs the council to pay them whatever expenses they claim. We've even got in the city of Kingston, monitors claiming above reasonable accommodation and travel expenses, costing tens of thousands of dollars for them to attend council meetings and stay in fancy hotels. What the heck is going on? This is not what local government's about. It's not junkets to Canberra.
I'm as appalled as you are, but I'm also excited about a future career change. A council monitor sounds like a great way to make a living. Just before I let you go, because I'm fascinated by local councils. On the late debate, we talk about council madness all the time. It seems they're never content to fill potholes and keep park lawns, nice. They've always got to be advocating for this or promoting some foreign policy agenda. You're at the coalface of local government and holding them to account. Do you feel like councils, particularly metropolitan ones, are likely to pull back from making political and cultural statements? And if not, How do we get that message across and get our local councils back to doing the basic stuff they're supposed to be doing, rather than freelancing as, ambassadors for this and activists for that?
Well, I think what it comes down to is the hypocrisy in local state government ministers across the country is that they won't define what the role of local government is. They all say it is basically whatever councillors decide or the administration decides. That gives them, essentially I would like to be the UN on all things. And that's not what we want councils for. It's not what they were created for. We do see councils, due to what happened in Bondi, pulling back a little bit, which is really responsible right now. Unfortunately, there are always going to be outliers, crazy councillors who still fly the Palestinian flag and offend their Jewish communities. Or, like Stonington Council, they put the menorah almost in the car park because they don't want people to see it. What we do see is a little bit more restraint, and that's great. But what we want to see is our councils get back to those basics. But clearly the state doesn't want that. What we are seeing at the moment, one of the most fundamental roles of councils is planning and standing up for their local community. And even again, in the minister's own backyard, we've got the planning minister in Victoria kicking, an appeal by Kingston Council on behalf of their residents against an overdevelopment of a local area that's a golf course. And what I can see coming
Dino,
next year is golf courses
sorry,
under
Dino, I
attack.
got to jump. I got to jump in, Dean. I'm sorry, we're running out of time. I saw that story and I couldn't believe it either. Just councils running amok. Unfortunately, it's a common problem. Hopefully, it might change thanks to work by people like yourself. Appreciate you joining me tonight. Thanks so much.